this isn't all bashing AEW because they did something really, really good on AEW Collision last Saturday. Of course, they didn't do it that great. There was a 10-minute monologue interview with Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I did.
The Collision episode only aired like 4 minutes of it because there was so many like pointless matches they had to air instead. But there was an excellent interview with Jeff Jarrett on Collision. Give us what you thought of it and give us a synopsis of what he said.
Very good. And the reason I'm saying it's good is because he did this off the top of his head. Nothing was written for him. I don't know if they'd write interviews in the AEW anyway. But Jeff sat there and he talked to something very personal to him. And it's called the Owen. Is that what it's called? The Owen?
Yeah, the Owen Hart Foundation tournament.
Oh.
Yes. Colloquially, the Owen.
Okay, the Owen. And that's the tournament to crown the winner of that.
And then they get a world title shot as well. So the stakes are rather high for it.
Okay. But Jeff, I think that's probably the best interview I've seen Jeff do because it came from here. It came from the heart. Because I've been around Jeff all my life. And when something touches him emotionally, he has no problem with crying. He will cry. He's very emotional. And when he started talking about Owen, I could tell that he was touched by talking about it. And he was talking about losing Owen. And then he lost his wife. Then he lost his dad. So he's had some pretty serious losses in his life. And it's not so much what he said, but the way that you kind of felt for Jeff during this time. Because he wanted to cry. He kept clearing his nose because, cry. He kept doing that, which is normal. And I think it's one of the best interviews he's done. It's believable. And even though they cut it down to 4 minutes, I watched the whole 10 minutes. And I don't know what they showed in the 4 minutes, but I think it served the point. And one of the best interviews I've ever heard him do.
Is Jeff a babyface now?
No, but he probably will be with this. It's called he can go out, but Jeff doesn't really, he cheats, but I don't think he needs to really, not in this. And if he did, I would say that it's for Owen. That's what he could say. Where are they? In Calgary or Edmonton, or where are they?
It's going across several weeks, this tournament. It's not going to be a one-night thing.
So when is the final, though?
Good question. I don't even think Jeff has done his first match yet, so I think it's just going to be over a course of weeks. And then I don't know if the winner's getting a title shot at Wembley or if it's going to be something else. I'm not quite clear on that. I think they've announced it. But it's just something else he mentions in the interview as well. I hadn't realised he was so close to Toby Keith either.
Oh, yeah.
What's the relationship between those two like?
Toby was a huge, huge, huge wrestling fan. And one of the first shows on TNA, Toby Keith came in as a guest. And he sang a song. I forgot what it was. Good guy. Toby Keith was a big guy. He's about 6'4", weighed about 240. He's a big guy. And then I forgot what he did. I think he guest refereed a match in Nashville. So the home of country music. So it kind of fit. And him and Jeff got into it. And he ended up getting the best of Jeff. And I think he wanted to actually do some more matches. I don't know what happened about that. But what he did wasn't bad. Because guys that are performers, they want whatever they do and anything else to be good. And they had practiced, I think, several times before that date, just in Nashville. They had a ring set up somewhere, and he would go over there with Jeff, and they'd go over this. So he looked like he belonged in this match. You can find, you can see it's online somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Toby Keith enters himself into a battle royal.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think this was on the first night of TNA's existence. They did 2 shows. I flew in from Puerto Rico to do the shows, and I mean the first show had a lot of problems. About 15 minutes before we was to go start taping, I think it was live. I think 15 minutes before, something happened to the ring, and nobody could get in it because it was going to collapse. So the Harris boys, Ron and Don, got up under that ring and fixed it, so they were ready to go. And Jeff was going nuts in the back. So the first time we had heard that it did something like, I forgot, some ungodly number of buys, like 20,000 buys or some 30,000.
I think they claimed something. Didn't they claim like 80,000 or something, and then it was actually 8?
That's what I'm saying. I think they may have said 80,000 buys, but I didn't want to bring that up in case I was wrong. But it was an ungodly number of pay-per-view buys. And then and of course, if I'd been in Jeff's spot and his dad's spot, Jerry, I'd have been happy as hell. I said, damn, we hit a gold mine here doing this. But then it came back, the guy who had told him that said he made a mistake. What? It wasn't 80,000 buys.
He forgot to carry the 1.
He said, it's more like 8,000 buys. And you could feel me. Even when they told me, I went, oh, shit, damn. But I thought 80,000 was kind of half of that. But it was a new venture, so they didn't know what it would do initially. So they kept that going under the pretense that it was actually streaming TV before streaming. You were paying for it, and they were actually ahead of the curve, but maybe not. It was too new, and it wasn't. It's like $8, $9, maybe 10. But so if it's 8,000 buys at $10, that would mean an $80,000 gross. And the pay-per-view company and the promotion, they split sometimes 50-50, or sometimes it's 60-40. So let's say it's 50-50. They would have got $40,000, but they were just starting up. So that $40,000 was eaten up quickly. And then I forgot what the gate was. The gate was like, I don't know, maybe 15 grand or a little bit more. I don't know. But it wasn't enough. And then they really, really had, I think 3 weeks later, they almost went out of business. 3 weeks or a month later, they almost went out of business.
Which leads me to ask, I don't know if this was very early on or this was like way after, during the Impact days and the Billy Corgan anthem thing. When did Toby Keith try and buy TNA? Or was going to be like a stakeholder in TNA? Was this early on or was this much later?
I think it was much later, really. I think. And then, but listen, you could never get a straight answer from anybody in TNA. I think they kayfabed each other. Hell, I didn't know nothing. You know, Jeff's not going to tell you nothing. Dixie's not going to tell you nothing. Vince, I don't know if he even knew. I don't know if he even cared. But, and I can't remember, I can't put a time frame on it. But he may have been wanting to buy in from the beginning. And he may have saw that maybe they had a lot of problems, and said, maybe not.